And I'm back. What's going on, people? Today we're going to be talking about the ludicrous establishment that is Chelsea Football Club and the insanity and madness that is going on over at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea's transfer spend in January goes over £200 million as they complete the signing of young right-back Malo Gusto, who, by the way, in isolation does not seem like a very bad signing. Truth be told, I haven't watched a lot of this player. Naturally, I don't really watch the French league, and unless French teams are in the Champions League, I don't really get to see any of them, and I haven't seen Gusto play at all. So this is a player that I don't really know much about, but based on scout reports and just the little bit of surface level research I've done, he seems like a very exciting young prospect and somebody who could be a decent understudy to Reece James. So in isolation, no problem with that signing at all as a rival. But I look at Chelsea and the sheer amount of money they spent in the last 6 months under Todd Boehly, and I start to ask the question, will Chelsea be okay? Because I've defended Chelsea. I've said that Chelsea fans have nothing to worry about. I thought the appointment of Graham Potter was strange, but the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what, long term it makes sense. Considering you guys are bringing over people from Brighton and you're taking this new approach, it makes a lot of sense. But then you balance that with the money that you've spent and just the signings you've made, the positions you've decided to address and the positions you've decided to neglect. Things are looking a little bit weird. So let's go through the list of players that Chelsea have signed. Wesley Fofana for 80 million euros, Mykhailo Mudryk for 70 million euros, Marc Cucurella for 65 million euros, then Raheem Sterling for 56 million euros. A very strange signing. I remember when Raheem Sterling signed for Chelsea and I said, I don't get this signing. He doesn't seem like the type of player who would fit Chelsea. And so far over the last 6 months, I think we can all agree he's been underwhelming. That doesn't mean he's a flop. He definitely has time to turn things around at Chelsea. I'm not one of these weirdos online who sits there going, ha ha, I told you Sterling's a flop, but he's only been there for 6 months, right? Like, let's see what happens in the next 2 years with Raheem Sterling if he can turn his form around at Chelsea. But for now, it looks like I was right. Better Shield, right? 38 million euros. Koulibaly, 38 million euros. Another really underwhelming signing. And the thing about Koulibaly is he was genuinely world class at Napoli. He hit heights that I never thought was possible for a player in the Serie A at his age. Just genuinely magnificent, week in, week out, season in, season out. And even for Senegal was a really, really strong part and a strong reason as to why they won the AFCON. But for Chelsea, he's been a shadow of himself. They then signed, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, Noni Mudieke. I don't even know if that's right. He's a Nigerian who came from PSV for 35 million, another winger that Chelsea signed. They then signed, obviously, Gusto for 30 million euros. Then they signed Chukwuemeka for 80 million euros, another young player. They signed Andre Santos. They signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And then they signed David Fofana. And obviously, João Felix on loan. But loans don't really count, so I'm not going to talk about Zakaria either, because those aren't really permanent signings. So apart from those two loans, that's a lot of players in a very short space of time. Now, the positive is those players, for the most part, are really young, which is in line with a manager like Graham Potter, right? The fact that those players are really young makes sense because Graham Potter is a developmental coach. He's somebody who can work really well with young players and somebody who's really adept at getting the best and fine-tuning players into certain positions on a pitch and getting the best out of them over a period of time, giving them the tools they need to improve week in, week out. So that makes sense. But did they really need to spend £200 million in January when they're out of the top 4 race anyways? Surely, as a club, if you're going to take an approach that makes sense and you hire a manager mid-season like Graham Potter, you give him till the end of the season, you give him time to actually assess the squad, get a big enough sample space of games to say, okay, this guy's not good enough, this guy's not good enough, I need a new right back, I need a new left wing, I need a new whatever position he wants to fill. Surely you wait, because what happens now if any one of these players comes into Chelsea and they don't do well, especially a player like Mykhailo Mudryk, who, by the way, has started off well and looks like he has a bright future at Chelsea. So in no way, shape or form am I saying he's going to flop, but I'm just saying, what if, right? What if some of these young players come in and struggle? You've already spent all this money and you've already hemorrhaged so much money in terms of the financial fair play. Right? Like, Chelsea can't spend that much more money after this, at least over the next few years. They're going to have to be very careful unless they want to risk getting a transfer ban. So now they've basically put Graham Potter in a situation where he has to ride it out with these transfers, whether he likes it or not. And he doesn't have that leeway and that freedom to say, okay, I've played 100, well, maybe not 100, that's a bit excessive. I've played 50 games. I've managed 50 games as Chelsea manager across a season and a half. And these are the players who definitely won't work in my system and I definitely want to get rid of before anybody else. And in exchange, I want you to sign XYZ. He can't do that now, at least as freely as he would have been able to if Chelsea were just patient with their approach. Now, I'm not a financial expert, But come on, you can't tell me what's going on at Chelsea isn't crazy. I'm sure they'll be fine for the next couple of seasons, but it seems to me like in order to avoid getting hit by the financial fair play rules, they're now not going to be able to spend this amount of money over the next few seasons at least, just so that they can actually maneuver their way around the rules and regulations. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I know a lot of rival fans will use this as an opportunity to say that Chelsea are ruining football and that Chelsea are teams like Chelsea, like Man City, like PSG, they're the reason why football is the way it is, and they're the reason why there's so much inflation. But I think that's a very narrow-minded approach. As a rival fan, I don't really feel annoyed by what Chelsea are doing. If anything, I feel jealous. If anything, I want my club to have the ability to spend that amount of money. I want my club to have owners who are actually ambitious enough to spend money in January when we're actually in a top 4 race and we're in a tangible position to win trophies. I mean, Chelsea are spending this much money and they're like, what, 9th in the table? We're in the top 4 already, and we're not spending anything. We've bought Wout Weghorst on loan. I wish my club would sign Mudryk. I wish my club would have signed Felix. I wish my club would have signed some of the players that Chelsea have signed just so that we had extra squad depth. So I'm not in no way, shape or form going to come on here and be like, hey man, Chelsea are crazy. They're ruining football. They're doing this. They're doing that. If anything, FIFA and UEFA are the ones you need to go and complain to. All the fans were complaining about the financial state of football. FIFA and UEFA is who you need to chat to, because if your club got taken over by Saudi owners tomorrow and you guys went on to win the next 3 Premier League titles, you wouldn't be complaining. Prime example, Newcastle fans. Newcastle fans for years, not all Newcastle fans, but a few big Newcastle fans on social media for years spent time talking about how Man City are ruining football. Manchester United, oh, it's so unfair because they spend so much money, blah, blah, blah. Look at them now. Look at Newcastle now. They're not complaining, are they? And they've been taken over by Saudi ownership. It's just hypocrisy. If your club got taken over by Saudi owners tomorrow, or any owners from any part of the world, whether it's America, the UK, anyone, if a billionaire took over your club tomorrow and started spending money like crazy, and you actually saw the results on the pitch and you actually saw your team win tangible things like trophies and get tangible achievements, long-lasting achievements, whatever that may be for your football club, you would not be complaining, man. Anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a like on the video to support the channel, leave a comment if you want to, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace!